This example is run in a Docker environment on a Beijer Electronics X3 Web device. In this setup, we're using WebIQ Runtime 2.16.3, deployed in a Docker container. Node-red also runs in a separate container to process data flows and handle commands. First, we're checking the containers to make sure everything is in place. After logging into the X3 Web system, we can use Docker PS to check the running containers and verify that WebIQ and Node-red are up and running. Open the Node-red Web UI and click on Manage Palette from the top right menu. Now, copy the node package name to search for and install it. Switch to the Install tab and search for node-red-contrib-webiq. Click Install on the package and wait for the installation to complete. After installation, two new nodes will appear in the sidebar. 1. WebIQ API Connect. 2. API Request. These nodes provide direct integration with the WebIQ Server API via WebSocket communication. To test the connection and API requests, we can import the provided sample flow. Node-red supports importing flows in JSON format. To get started, copy the example flow provided on the package's webpage. To import a flow from the clipboard, right-click in the workspace, paste the JSON, and insert the flow. This is a WebIQ API Connect node, and this is a API Request node. We need to configure the WebIQ connection node. In this demo, we've kept the node names, but you're free to rename them if you prefer. Enter the WebIQ Runtime's endpoint information into the host and port fields. Enter the WebIQ project's folder name and credentials into the project, username, and password fields. This node acts as the WebSocket gateway. All API commands are routed through this connection to the WebIQ server. Now, we're going to configure the API request node. Use the io.read command to test the communication. This is the JSON format for the request. Enter the array of WebIQ item names into the data field. For the ID property, please refer to the concurrent access chapter in the API documentation. To display output in both the Node-red UI and container stdout, configure the debug node as follows. Enable System Console so that output is sent to both the debug window and container stdout. Set the output to message.payload. Deploy the flow to test how it works. Done. The connection was successful, and it logged into the WebIQ runtime. Upon successful connection, the WebIQ API Connect node will show a green status indicator, but no data is coming in. Now we need to adjust the interval property of the API request node. Set it to any interval value you prefer. Redeploy the flow. It will reconnect, log in again, and begin sending commands at 2-second intervals. As a result, data is now being received every 2 seconds. Automatically read variable values and display them using the debug node. When the debug node's system console option is enabled, Node-red uses a logger that writes its output to the console. Docker containers automatically collect all stdout and str output, which becomes the container log. To view the logs directly, can run Docker logs. Or, you can inspect the stdout log directly inside the container. Open a bash shell inside the Node-red container. List running processes and identify Node-red's main process. List file descriptors for that PID. Use cat to read the live output of debug node. We can compare the values with those shown in the running WebIQ project in the web browser. Since the interval is set to 2 seconds, there may be slight differences in the values. Besides using the console, you can also monitor output via the debug panel in Node-red. Click the Debug tab or sidebar. View the message.payload coming from the debug node. It will include the variable values returned by the API in real time.